Hello, my loves. It's so good to see you guys. I thought I'd share a little bit of my environment with you because this is something important that why exactly I'm on here feeling called to talk to you guys. So as you're jumping on, I would love to hear where you're at. This is my favorite spot right here. You see Ganesh, this is big, huge Ganesh, rocking it out, locking it down right there. So please, as you jump on, please let me know if you can hear me okay. I'm hoping that moving around a little bit, we've got an okay volume, but I'll be settled in just a minute. So please let me know. Oh, looks like my internet's maybe going in and out with me moving around. So as I'm getting settled here, tell me where you are coming from. Tell me where you're at in the world, because obviously I'm on my global citizen journey and being able to enjoy being all over the world. And I want to know where you're at, what time zone you're in exactly. So, and just to make sure that you can actually hear me, I'll get settled here. Let's see if this is gonna be even better. 1 second. Yay, connection is available. The funness of global travel and, playing with the flow of Wi-Fi and everything else. And actually, so if you missed the first part, I was walking through some beautiful space and sharing with you guys, is giving the time and opportunity for people to join on, and we might have lost you for a second, but jumping on now, please let me know. Let's see if I can see comments going on. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay, if sound's working, and let me know where you're coming from, where you're joining me, as I'm I know we've got peeps all over the world, but this is something that I felt really called to take the time to dive into and share. Hang on 1 second, I'm gonna get my stand settled here. It feels like it's a little wobbly. But I really wanted to dive into, because this is actually something that is so important for you creating a different reality, and yet most people are we're just really not aware of the importance of it, or even the ways that we sabotage around it, or that we don't even acknowledge it. And what I really want to talk to you guys about is your environment. So I was sharing a little bit of my environment with you guys. This is the space that I'm in right now. And every place that I go to around the world is extremely important to me. The energy, the space, I believe in creating a very sacred, gorgeous sanctuary for myself that's pure luxury codes and fully supported, and getting to be in flow with what I want to create, because I've gone the journey with my environment of, which I'll talk about the different levels of environment, to believing I'm fully worthy of living in luxury and bliss and support, and getting to just live in complete freedom in what I do. So the reason I want to talk to you guys about environment is because your environment determines your destination, okay? So take that in for a second. Your environment determines your destination, and it determines your outcome. So Yogananda, one of my favorites, actually said, he said, if you hang out with thieves, then you're gonna expect that thieving is a part of life. So think about that, and thank you. Hey Naomi, let me know. Awesome, you said you can hear me. Thank you for that, love. So if you hang out with thieves, think about what are the kind of feelings and beliefs and programs that you start to believe just as a part of life, like not trusting people, manipulation, lies, very low frequency energy. Okay, now if you hang out with monks, you're gonna have a different experience. You're gonna believe that meditation is just a part of life, it's like breathing. You're gonna believe that, and this is what Yogananda said, you're gonna believe that peace and bliss and flow and ease are the way life is, right? So we know, and you guys have heard so many times, that you are the 5 people that you hang around, but I want to go so much deeper than that. I'm not just talking about that environment. I want you to be aware of all the ways that your environment is affecting you, all the many different levels. So it's not just looking at, let's look at a couple things. First off, we know there's the world of the external environment. We were talking about what Yogananda said. So the people you hang around is what Yogananda was focusing on, that, okay? Let's look at Einstein. Einstein says that no problem can ever be solved from the same state in which it was created. Now he's talking about the internal environment, or so the energy of something, the frequency of something, that state of being that creates the problem cannot resolve the problem. You have to change your state of being to have a different experience. Then we've got Buckminster Fuller. Right? These are all greats that have taught us many things. Buckminster Fuller, I love what he says, where he says that you have to change the model. He means that you can't create something different by going off the old model. You have to create a new model to make the old model obsolete, to create something totally different. And so the reason I'm bringing these aspects in, guys, is I want to get really aware of the many different environments that you're living in and how you're not even aware of, like waking up every single day. Let's say, for instance, you wake up every single day, and what's possible? There's a possible new reality, right? You would think that, hey, I have a new day, a new reality available. But the truth is, you wake up and most likely go right into thinking about your problems. You look for the normal feeling you have known inside your system of you, so you seek that feeling that is you. You find that feeling that is you, whatever, whether it's despair or for me, in the past, guys, years ago, I remember waking up and be like, here we go again. Like it was the dreading of life. It was the drudgery. It was the going through the motions of life. And so that was the feeling of me and the belief system that I had, that right away you wake up and you acknowledge or you think about the problems. And this is one way. You're thinking about not only what you get to do for the day, right? You have this meeting. Oh, I got to do this for the kids. I get to, get this done. These are the things on my plate. Now, what you're doing is you're projecting into the future based off your experiences from the past. So you're already pre-paving and planning your future day that is your environment based on what you've experienced in the past. And I'll give you an example of this. Let's say, for instance, that this would be, if you, in your job environment, if you don't have the greatest experience in your job, maybe it's like being near coworkers or a coworker who, you feel judgment or rejection, or you have resentment towards, even your boss. If you have resentment towards your boss, what happens every single time you see that coworker? You have an energy addiction. You're addicted to the energy in your body, the chemical, which I want to get into. The chemical in your body is addicted to this feeling that you have over and over and over again. So if you're in a job all day and every time you see this coworker or you see your boss and you have an energy of resentment or, dislike, that chemical, that thought, that connection to them, which is an energetic bond, is creating a chemical in your system that is actually anchoring you into your past. See, because you associate to your coworker as that experience. So it might be thinking about a team meeting. And what happens if you had a bad experience as a team meeting in the past? You project that's what your experience is going to be in the future. You project this is what your experience is going to be at work today. You project this is what your experience is going to be with your kids. I know, right, Dalia? She's like, wow. Exactly. And this is just one of the tiny inklings I'm letting you in on as to how you unconsciously are anchoring yourself into the past and creating the chemical addictions and chemicals. And again, guys, we talk about hooks, right? Hooks into other people, sacred contracts with people. Why you don't know that you're actually just reigniting this every single day. So when you wake up, instead of creating a new future reality, what happens is 95%, by the time you're 35 years old, 95% of what you're doing is memorized. What? Think about it, okay? And I want you to look at these addictions, because guys, the whole point of me talking about environment is for us to realize and see that as humans, we have been addicted to suffering. We've been addicted to struggle. We've been addicted to sacrifice. Why? Because that's the only environment you know. It's what you were raised in, because it is our human domestication system. So as a human, it was like, you get my love if you do this. If you show up this way. You've been put in boxes and parameters and stories. So by the time being little, one of the ways that you created your environment is your programming, right? So by age 5 to 7, all of your programming is set in, that you have decided on your identity, which is again the feeling of you, the belief systems about how the world operates. Again, if you were raised with monks, you'd have a different view and belief system and program running of how the world operates. If you were raised with thieves and you're raised in, a low density vibration household, then you have a belief system of life is hard, life is struggle, life is sacrifice, life is compromise. On top of that, okay, so I want to jump back. So there's so many things that I want to share with you on this. Is that this is just part of the collective. That's just, let's say, your home environment and what you experienced at a young age that created your programming, your identities, your stories, your behaviors, everything that operating right now that is your internal environment. That's just one aspect of your internal environment that you've created. Now let's go back to how you're recreating that and anchoring that in every single day is even when you wake up and now you believe for so long, think about how you always learn to go the path of the least resistance. And what happens is you take that path over and over and over again. And the path of least resistance resistance is just what feels the most comfortable to you. Okay, so as you take that path over and over and over again, we create neural pathways in our brain that say, this is how it goes, this is how it goes. After you do that so long, you actually turn into a habitual mind, not your conscious present mind. You're actually operating unconsciously because you're operating through unconscious patterns and behaviors of how you react in life based on what you believe. So let's say, for instance, you get up and you notice you have the normal routine would be I start brewing a coffee. Well, what's really true is you're doing those things based out of that's what you've always done, and your body has an addiction to it. Whether it be I need to take a shower before I start my day because that's what makes me feel good. You're addicted to certain patterns and behaviors. And we can break down, allowing yourself to create the habitual behaviors that are going to magnify and change your life. But what I want you to hear is that we're so conditioned in doing the same thing that there's no room in the environment to experience anything different. And these are in the very subtle ways that you're just going about your day. Do you wake up and recognize what is the feeling, like what would be the most nurturing for me today? What would feel good? Do you allow yourself to go, ooh, do I want to work out this morning? What would that look like? And what would feel good? And I mean, my day differentiates like this every single day because I know that every day I'm consciously living in the present moment to decide what is my environment today? How does it get to feel magical and different? And this is one of the aspects of stepping out of the normal routine that is creating your environment because you're so familiarized and you don't even recognize that every single time, so this is the other aspect to it, every single time that you are having a thought or a feeling, okay, that, like I said, that's anchoring in a chemical into your body that is connecting you to the past and it's projecting into the future. On top of that, if you've ever had any trauma in the past, so many people are stuck in living their life experience because they've had experiences of trauma that you actually don't even realize you're still anchored to every single day and don't know how to let go of or heal. So what happens is you're remembering, yeah, so true, you're remembering that, this is how you have to act with people because you're afraid you're going to get hurt or rejected or you want to be safe, and you're holding, and that's connected to that experience of trauma. So every single day you're reigniting the chemicals in your biology system that feel that addiction to that pain, that suffering, that sacrifice, that reaffirm the perception and the limiting belief of what you believe you get to have, what you believe you deserve, what you're worthy of. And notice this is what you're broadcasting to the planet and the universe. This is what you're giving out. Okay, and this is all just internal, guys. This is all in your control as to what you're creating that you might not be aware of. Okay, now that's just, and on top of the internal environment. So I'm going to go another way with this and share with you. I want you to understand the collective environment. How are you affected by the collective environment? Now, when you go to work or when you're around other people, what happens is we're in a field of energy. What you don't realize is that the matter and the form that you are, the matter and form of anything is actually in that matter is over 99.99999, I don't even know how many nines, I'm not going to pretend to, % space. It's actually 0.0000 however many 1% matter. Okay, so out of you are you're an energetic being, you're a vibrational being. Everything is energy and vibration. So in anyone else's space, you are actually sharing an energetic field. You are sharing an aura, because in one room, your aura overlaps, so your energetic field overlaps. Now, think about how our entire collective has been raised, most likely in the same things I'm talking about, where it's fear, worry, rejection, hopelessness. We've been raised and trained in guilt and shame to be able to do things, shaming and blaming ourselves, judgment, hopelessness. Like there's all of the low vibrational frequencies is what we have been conditioned in and experienced, unless again you were maybe raised in with monks and having a different experience and completely pulled away from the collective. And so the collective field, and this is why we are all one, the collective field is affecting you. The collective field. Now let's look at you turn on the TV. Guys, did you know the average person watches over 6 hours of TV a day? And think about now what's happening. You're being objected to consumerism. You need this to feel better. You need this food will make you happy. Oh, this is what fun and connection looks like. Go on this adventure, buy this thing, do these things. And we're looking outside of ourselves with this illusion of consumerism to seek something else outside of ourselves, where we're not changing the internal environment, the root cause, which is why we create disease and dysfunction. all your diseases, all your dysfunction, all your injuries, everything externally or everything physically has been manifested from these internal chemicals, emotions. So if you're holding on to trauma from blame and shame and pain, or, again, experiencing people around you that you have energetic connections to of hurt or rejection, and you're projecting every single day and you're rooting and you're anchoring this, can you feel the heaviness of that? Okay, and that's just part of the collective environment. And that's why I always say the only way that you don't get affected by the collective is you learn to rise above it. You don't get pulled into the same environment. You don't have the same perceptions and feelings and beliefs, etc. So we get to completely shift our environment to have something different. And so these are just the ways that if we can't get beyond our own pain and our own stories and our own chemical addictions to pain and suffering and trauma and our unconscious commitments and these unconscious behaviors, everything that you're doing every single day, if you chose to look at yourself and maybe view yourself. I saw this at one point. I remember seeing how I go into the mirror and when I didn't know how to love myself, and it was a totally different experience, and I'd pick myself apart. And if I looked at myself from outside and saw this pattern in behavior, what was I addicted to? What was the feeling I was addicted to? Was shame, rejection, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, etc. And so as you see that, you can be like, ooh, now and you might notice you go into the bathroom, and what's your normal pattern? What's the normal thing that you do every single day? How do you look at yourself? What are the thoughts that show up? What are the behaviors that show up? What are the things that are there that are giving a frequency and an energy? And so it can easily shift and change by us now going, okay, wait. So we get to look at the environment, or look at the pattern behavior and go, okay, you know what? When I walk in the bathroom, my new pattern behavior is I'm just going to speak love to myself in the mirror. And I'm going to commit to only seeing the good and looking for the good. And those are little ways that obviously we're starting to change our environment. Yet I want you to see, and this is actually not even including, obviously we talked about, so your external environment, the people that you're connected to, the things that you see every day, your internal environment, the things that you're doing every single day that are connected to your programming, your beliefs, your behaviors, your the collective environment. There's also your cellular imprinting, the generations, 40 plus generations of imprinting in your system. You were actually feeling and you were experiencing what was happening as you were an egg in your mother's body and she was an egg in your grandma's body. You were feeling and experiencing everything your grandma felt. You were being imprinted with that generation. So, and there's generations of that. So on top of that, you chose in this experience that you came into, again, chose. This is why when we can see the power and the truth of why we created our environment and how to create something different, we are no longer a victim to the environment. We are actually the divine sovereign being that simply knows and sees it for the experience it was, instead of being like, well, this is how my family was, this is what I was raised in, this was the trauma. And so many people are like, well, this is bullshit, until the world changes this and this. Guess what? Until you become whole as a being, you can't exude wholeness to the whole. So the best way to ever love and support anyone else and change anything is to be in your own wholeness. That is why it comes back to your own divinity and your own choosing what kind of environment do you put up with. Because again, as I said, there's all those years of the imprinting, all those years of your feelings in your body from the trauma, from the emotions, from the experiences. All those things are holding emotional connections in your cells. That's why a big part of what I've learned to do over the years with my peeps is with DNA activation and cellular clearing and all this is cleansing out those cells. So tuning into all of that and that massive environment, all these ways that we're addicted chemically and we're re-anchoring ourselves into our past and projecting into the future, and we're just playing in this cycle. This is why I want you to hear, guys, that your environment determines your outcome. Your environment determines the destination. It will be your result. And 99.9% of people, somewhere around there, I know 98% of people stop after 2 to 3 tries of stepping out of their environment because of all these things I just shared with you guys. I just boom, 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 boom. We just shared a shit ton of different ways that your environment is completely working on you and it is holding you in a space, right? And so, Katarina, what are you saying? Cleanses. Awesome, love. Yes. I got to see if I can see your whole comment. I can't see the whole comment, but you know this, Katarina, being in the tribe and being how, came to the ultimate experience that we had at the magical manifestation. And this was all about activating our DNA and cleansing our cells and clearing out this massive low density, low vibrational frequencies in not only our internal environment, but as you rise and you up level your internal environment, what happens, guys? Do you think if I, again, as I showed in the beginning, and some of you might not have seen because the internet was in and out, showing you the gorgeous sacred sanctuary space, luxury codes that I choose to live in no matter where I go all over the world. Because I know I'm worthy of this environment and this energy and the sacredness of it, it serves and supports me. If I hadn't gone through the shift of, now notice, if I believe I'm totally worthy of receiving unconditional love, I have unconditional self-acceptance for myself, and I'm totally worthy of experiencing bliss and joy, my belief systems have shifted to, from that subtle sacrifice, as I told you, I would wake up in the morning and be like, oh, another day, what do I got to do? How do I get to, it was survival. That's how I was raised. It was pure survival, to being like, oh, amazing. Like, I'm worthy of having the most blissful day of experience and adventure and go wherever I want to go in the world and do whatever I want to do. See, for me, as I created the energetic alignment to what I wanted, which, number one, abundance, knowing I'm worthy of massive abundance, what was the feeling and energetic frequency I connected to? Because there was infinite possibilities in the quantum field for me to align to that. But in my energetic frequency before, in my environment, none of that matched. None of it aligned. I had to actually shift my environment internally, externally, everything else to align to abundance, which was a feeling of freedom. Knowing that I could, and this is the layers, guys. I remember when I first even was shifting my environment, and why I want to talk to you about how the environment can still be, you can stop yourself in the tracks of shifting your environment. But as I started to, my first thing was just like, I just want to be able to pay the bills. I just want to be able to take care of my boys. Like, my boys were 1 and 4 when I became a $2 an hour waitress with $10 to my name. And it was like, I just want to be able to, know that the bills are paid every month and I can feed them and we can, not have to worry. That was my first level of consciousness of freedom. And the things that I got to do to shift the internal environment of believing what that looked like, as well as the external environment, to then match that and have that. And then as I align myself to what I'm experiencing now, which is my environment is and my feeling of abundance is the feeling of freedom. That's what I connected to, is that feeling of freedom. What does freedom look like for me? It means I go wherever in the world I want to go, whenever I want to go, with whoever I want to go with, to experience whatever I want to experience. To me, that was absolute abundance to, be able to serve at a greater degree, to be able to do massive philanthropy work all over the world. And, this space that I'm staying at right now is actually a foundation. And where we got to go clean up the beach and all the plastic and the garbage that gets washed up on the beach. And every single day we're creating water filters for the people in the village, and they're doing all this service work. Of course, this is what I attracted, this frequency of this beautiful sacred service energy, that only as you give, you only receive, because generosity is the key to abundance. So you see how I had to let go of all the confinement and the stories of like trying to grasp onto something and creating those chemicals in my system that were grounding me and anchoring into that past experience. And that past, the past, because the past becomes your future. The past becomes your future, guys. Okay, so that's what I want you to hear, is that your environment is a reflection. So if I'll get back to what I was saying about the sacred sanctuary, and if I believe now I'm fully worthy of only the best, I have the greatest, coolest peeps in the tribe that I get to focus on, and community. I have, my divine allies in my life. They're the most amazing relationships. I get to live in this life. If that's what I believe I'm worthy of as an environment, would I put up with shit? Would I put up with manipulation or, any low vibrational frequencies? No, because I've aligned my environment to something different. So I want you to hear that when you tune into, for those of you guys that are joining now, I love you. I see some of my peeps on. Make sure you catch the beginning to hear all the aspects of how we're creating this environment. But what I want you to tune into is, what kind of environment do you truly require to have a different experience? Because again, as I said, 98% of people stop after 2 to 3 tries. 99% of people fail because they try to do it on their own. Oh, I love you, Ben. They try to do it on their own, and they can't move beyond their environment. Because it isn't just one simple like, oh, okay, like this person is, it's all the things that I shared with you, from your cellular imprinting, the collective frequency, you know, external world, the pattern memorization that you're doing in memory every single day that is anchoring in the past, experiences of trauma, reaffirming in your cells. You're just bombarded by it. Okay, and that's why environment, I want you to hear and take it as the greatness of awareness that it is, that your environment creates your destiny. Your environment creates that destination and that place that you're going to end up at. It creates your result. It's so important. So think about if you do more of the same, as we've talked about, you're going to get more of the same, right? Do you see that? And how even the unconscious patterns of memorization, as you tune into that, what's happening? So I've seen so many people stop at moving forward because, again, they don't set themselves apart into a new environment. If your environment's shitty, guys, you get to immerse yourself in a new environment. Completely immerse yourself in a new environment. And if your environment, as not only just looking at the internal belief systems and the programs and the thoughts that you're having and the emotions that you're having every day, which is everything I kind of covered in the beginning, but it's like the people you're choosing to be around. Because again, it's really surface to just even say you're like the 5 people that you hang around most. Yes, that's true. That's a reflection of the environment you choose, but everything is a reflection of internally how you're choosing to be, your state of being, okay? So if we look at what are the codes you require for a new environment? What are the ways that you get to immerse yourself into a brand new environment, to be experiencing something completely different? Number one, obviously, is getting to look at, dissect your day. As I said, where it's like you walk in the mirror, or you walk in the mirror, you walk into the mirror too. That's fun. That could be a pattern, right? It could be like, again, like I said, getting up close and evaluating yourself. If you dissect your day and you look at every single aspect of your day, I want you to look at what's the frequency that I'm giving out during that experience. What are the thoughts that I'm having? What's maybe the chemical addiction of feeling that I'm having? I'm connecting to this person, and every single time I see them, I feel resentment energy. Whoa, I'm addicted to resentment. I'm addicted to struggle. I'm addicted to sacrifice, right? On top of that, okay, so if we dissect that and we look at the programs, the patterns, the behaviors, the internal environment, now it's like you get to take radical responsibility to create a different external environment. And guys, this is why, I mean, straight up, this is why I created what I just, well, I mean, it's been a creation this year. As you know, that for me, what I felt called to was serving leaders. I served, people at $1 million level plus, anywhere from $250,000 to $1 million level plus, worked with some of the biggest corporations and businesses in the world, giving them personal coaching and working them through all of these shifts in alignment, because I knew that the leaders would then serve and support so many more people. And that was through my masterminds, my programs. And through this year, as I got called to really recognize that it's like I feel such a lighted fire, like my ass is on fire, my inner world is on fire, my inner truth is on fire, of holding the codes for a new humanity. Because I know I've obviously always created that I hold the codes of liberation. I hold the codes of awakening, and that comes through the codes of divinity, the codes of your divine remembrance and who you are. And so when I realized, like, how many more do I get to serve and affect? It's just like me creating massive abundance is about how many more I can affect and serve. Okay, it's not, it's when you recognize that you're just energy and space, as I talked about before, and you can connect to the energy of these things and create these things, I recognize how many more people can I serve? How many more people can I affect than instead of remaining in this small environment? We have a massive, we have a call right now, I'll say, to hold the frequency of a new earth. That means being the new human, that you're the one who's giving out the frequency of unconditional love, self-acceptance. Now, what do you think that does for your environment, for the people that feel you and interact with you? And it takes transitioning into an environment that you can immerse yourself in. And so, guys, this year, as I felt called to let go of those things and be like, where do I get to? It was this whole journey of just being with myself more, and being with this whole new transition came through to serve more individuals. So instead of putting my time, effort, and energy towards specific personal clients and masterminds, it's like my schedule's completely free where I only have the things on my schedule for the year that I want. Like I only got a retreat coming up next March. And other than that, where I felt called to put my attention, effort, and energy is how do I serve more people? Okay, and so this is why I want you to hear that until you create an environment that supports you in not only your accountability, to see where you would stop yourself. Okay, here's an example. In our tribe, someone just posted how they said where they could require some support is that they noticed they stopped themselves from writing their book. So now, it was so cool for me to see all the community jump in and be like, this is some perception shifts. These are some things that you can recognize and see. And see, until you're willing to go within and go, okay, wait, what are the programs, the behaviors, the beliefs? So if we have stories, all of a sudden, I had the same experiences in my stepping through my comfort zones to express at a higher degree, to be illumination, because I choose to be an illumination of the highest vibrational frequency to my divinity for other people to see and experience as an example, and that they can feel those essence and those codes, that they too get to stand in their highest vibrational light and experience the life that they want. And as learning to express yourself, it's all of a sudden you catch, oh, why am I afraid to actually sit down? What might be the pattern of behavior in front of me that's keeping me from sitting down and just doing the thing that I want to do? If you say you want to write a book, but you sit down and go, and all of a sudden you recognize, oh, and laundry needs to be folded, or I don't really feel like it. I'll turn on the TV, or I'll do this tomorrow. Hello, dear. Thanks for joining. I have so many beautiful peeps on. And we recognize that, see, we usually do not go within enough to see what is the true disconnect in our internal environment that is creating this result externally. Now, if we keep doing those patterns and behaviors, what happens is we never get the end result. The book never gets written. We never allow ourselves, which is what happens when the book gets written. All of a sudden, there's a bigger level of expression. There's a bigger level of saying, I'm worthy to be seen, I'm worthy to be heard, I'm worthy to receive value exchange, aka money as a gift for giving my tools, for giving my message to the world, for giving my time, effort, and energy into something that can serve other people. So if we sit here and go, oh, you know what, I'll do this later. Like when I have more knowledge, when I have the website up, when I have the thing, then I'll feel more comfortable. And so we keep ourselves from our internal environment from actually moving forward. So when we're willing to, and we get the guidance of how we get to look at our what's happening inside. Oh, I notice it's just because I'm afraid if I actually write and I actually get this done, I'm going to be rejected. That's what my true inner fear is about, is that I'll be rejected. So I keep finding surface reasons to actually not even allow myself to do it. So there's going internally on what are the thoughts and the emotions that are happening. Again, remember, as I talked about in the beginning, this is a chemical addiction in your system to suffer, to sacrifice, to stay hidden, to stay small, to wear a mask. Okay? Thank you, Colleen. I love all the hearts. I appreciate you, girl. So that's one aspect of it. And then on top of that, though, guys, what happens when no one's there to call you on your bullshit? What happens when you don't create a level of accountability? Together, we are here to rise in our love. Together, we are here to rise in our ascension. And as I mentioned before, when I choose to become whole, I am a whole being with a frequency of wholeness. I affect the whole in the greatest possible way. That is how we become whole, is we choose to become whole within, that then holds that field of the highly evolved being, the human being in wholeness, that creates that field and frequency to hold for the new earth. It is by me choosing to become whole within. So if really we look at how the intention of serving and supporting each other to get there, how we all benefit. Do you know what happens when our frequency as a planet rises? We get rid of poverty, we get rid of sickness, we get rid of disease. Okay, the whole system of the medical system and consumerism, as I talked about before, again, you guys get to drop back and check the whole live if you're just jumping on, but it's like this system is all based out of fear, lack, scarcity. It's all based out of a system of targeting the surface symptoms. As we said, oh, I just want to write the book because now, I just don't have time. My kids are young. There's too much to do. I'll do it later when I learn more. All of this stuff is bullshit. It's surface. It's not approaching the root that is creating that in the first place. So even the medical systems, the consumerism system, everything we've been taught of going outside of ourselves to look for peace and comfort, etc., is all just keeping the cycle going, because we're never actually creating the connection within to heal ourselves at the root. So what happens as a society when we're based out of comparison and we're competition. All these things are working against us instead of us allowing us to go, well, you know what? I can recognize now that all of these aspects in my environment are what's working against me. How do I immerse myself in a new environment that is the going to allow me to get to the result? Because again, the environment creates the destination. So if I get to this end result, what would support me the most? And this is why we get to surround ourselves in accountability and love and supporting each other with community and be able to come together, because we only rise in love. So you guys, this is where I want you to recognize that if you're not willing, in whatever you're doing, if you're not willing to raise your hand and offer what you have to serve and support the world, nothing's going to change for anyone else. And it's certainly not going to change for you, because as you're healing those own things for yourself, you're healing it for the planet. Okay, so I'll give you guys an example of, when I was changing the environment, I shared before how the first thing I could just imagine, and I got to shift my inner belief systems and my external world around, was like, I just want to make enough to pay the bills that I don't ever have to worry. My mortgage is paid, my kids are fed, etc. That was the first level of consciousness I could even imagine. Again, compared to where I'm living now, a completely different reality. Now, as I continued doing these things that I'm talking about, where we're not only taking radical responsibility of our inner environment and everything that our thoughts, our feelings, our programs, our beliefs, our stories, our cellular imprinting, what we chose into with our family, our external reality, what we're seeing in the collective, what we're addicted to in feeling wise, and we take all this in and we're moving inch by inch, guys, because it's only inch by inch that we get to that next space. It's moment by moment. It's actually living presently in this reality consciously right now, versus, as I was talking about, 95% of your world being a memorized path of what you're habitual on. You're not even recognizing. You wake up and you feel the feeling of you that you recognize, which might be like, ugh, sacrifice, hard, right? So when we take all this in, and as I was shifting my reality, what will show up is an opportunity for a different experience. Okay, so I remember when I got offered TV, I got offered to be the Body Mind Mentor on ABC4 TV and do national television. And what happened right away, which I didn't even connect these dots at first, was that it's like I got offered that. Again, so I'm creating a greater opportunity to be seen, to be heard, to be expressed, to receive more money. The opportunities showing up just as like I had created for me to have a broader, grander experience, to feel my dharma, to share my messages, shows up. Well, what happened was I went to get up out of bed one morning and I literally couldn't walk. My foot completely gave out. Like it was like I had no ability to put any pressure on my right foot. Right foot, masculine energy, which is the to-do energy. It's moving forward, okay? So I had no ability to put any pressure on my right foot, which stands for fear of moving forward in life. And I didn't connect to this right away. I'll share with you how it can be these tricky ways that our ego mind knows, and we know how to keep us in our small space. Also, I couldn't put any pressure on my foot. Now, let's think about this. Can I show up on TV as the Body Mind Mentor and rock out? I was doing everything from showing, workout tricks and moves to, nutrition to mindset, because that's where I began to expand my ability and share my gifts and capabilities. And it's like, so of course it's like, well, now I can't do TV, and I was like, how am I even going to run my 90-day mind body transformation programs going on in gyms at the time. It's like all of a sudden all this fear shows up as like, this thing shows up. I feel like a complete victim to, no control. I don't know why this happened or how this happened. So first thing I do is I call this amazing, you could call him a chiropractor, but he really worked with energy and connecting to what was really happening in your body. And I get over to him and he literally quick does a couple things and I can walk. And I barely get out to my car. I get home and it does it again. Like instantly, it happened 2-3 times in a row. Within a day, I went back to see him a couple times. And he's like, I don't know how this could be happening. And I instantly was like, all of a sudden I saw the light and I was like, I do. Everything is connected to emotion. Everything is energy. This is an internal emotion. I get to get curious. And as I ask myself the questions of what am I feeling? Like, why am I afraid of moving forward in life? Again, the right foot, moving forward in life. What am I afraid of that is afraid of moving forward in life? And all of a sudden I got that instant knowledge from within myself, my inner truth, saying, well, you know what? If you get seen on TV, now what was I connecting to being seen on TV? I'll be attacked. Because I'd had stalkers, rape attempts, kidnappers. All growing up, I was raised in absolute fear that the world was going to end. I was raised in a really strict religion environment that was like I had to not express myself, couldn't be seen, could be heard, had to wear a mask, had to show up the way God wanted me to show up and the way other people expected me to show up. It was a very perfectionist mentality, which most of the collective have. Yet it was very much like, you know what? If you go in the mountains, you're going to get mauled by a mountain lion. If you walk out of a grocery store, someone's hiding on your car and they're going to slit your feet, or they're hiding in the back of your seat. Like, you're going to get grabbed. Like, I was bombarded with fear energy. And hence, because again, now, those were the chemical imprintings. That was my environment. Those were my belief systems. Those were my programs. What did I attract? I attracted in my life, and you're welcome, Terry. I'm so glad you're here, babe. I attracted in my life stalkers, a rape attempts, several, a stalker when I was 11 years old, several kidnapping attempts, literally like stuff that you would be like, that really happens? Like someone trying to grab me off my bike as I'm, a 9-year-old riding by, like all these really intense traumatic experiences I attracted because I was looking through the eyes of fear. I was trying to avoid being hurt and taken and all these things, and people were scary and the world was scary. This was my programming running. This was the energy and the frequency I was giving out. So that's exactly what I experienced. So would I have walked beyond that environment and created one? Now, guys, I can't even imagine anyone being unfriendly now. like it is completely possible to change everything within your system when you're willing to lean in and be committed to your evolution, your ascension. It's not just a one-off thing. This is what I want to share with you. It is a commitment to your continual expansion to become whole, to heal everything. Everything showing up in your environment is just showing you what you still get to heal and love so that you can receive what's on the other side. So for me, as I looked at it and I was like, oh, my little girl was like, this is why we created the injury showing up, because if you go on TV, we're going to be attacked. We're going to be hurt. I was like, oh, sweetie, thank you for letting me know that's how you feel. And that's what the contract we created was. We're going to do anything and everything to stay from being seen. We're going to do whatever it takes to stay where we're safe. Now, as I got to look at this and go, oh, so here I'm thinking and believing I've created a contract with myself that if I stay hidden and I stay in the shadows, I'm actually safe. Well, what's really true? If you're a woman walking down the street and you're like, I am strong, I'm powerful, I'm confident, is an attacker going to come at you? Or if you're a woman walking down the street, woman, man, guys, all sexual genders apply here. But if you're walking down the street and you're walking in, I'm scared I'm going to be seen, I'm afraid of people, this is unsafe. What energy are you exuding? Who do you think is going to attract being attacked? And who is the attacker going to attack? Because they feel the frequency of fear. This person's in fear, they're weak. That's what we're going for. So as I got to consciously now notice all of these things showing up were unconscious. Okay? They were all unconscious programs, beliefs, stories, thoughts, behaviors, etc. from all of my programming and all of my environment, internally and externally, that I had no idea. I believed, well, I have to stay hidden or I'm going to be attacked. Because that's just what had been my way of operating in the environment I had been in. Until I was willing to go, oh, well, what's really true? First off, like what's really true is when I stay hidden in the shadows, I'm actually the most unsafe. If I'm going to hide in the parking lot in a dark spot, am I more safe than if I'm right under the lamp, like the light post? If I'm right in the light, am I the most able to see what's going on, and I the most seen? So when we look at it consciously versus operating out of our unconsciousness, all of a sudden it's like, whoa, interesting. Actually, and so as I had a conversation with my little girl to share with her, sweetie, first off, thank you, and it's okay. Radical self-acceptance. It's okay that you feel this way. It's okay that you're afraid. Based on our past beliefs and programs, etc., that's understandable. What's really true is we actually know now that that's what created us to be unsafe. That's what kept us in pain and in suffering and, not receiving our value and our worth and being able to live the life that we want. What's actually true is the more we step into the light, the more seen we are, the more heard we are, the more angels we attract into our life. The more amazing opportunities and experiences and friends, because we can be seen, the more people we affect and we help. And so if you can't raise your hand and say, hey, this is who I am and this is how I'm here to serve, you're not helping anyone and you're not even helping yourself. Because as I healed that for myself, so whatever was showing up was simply a reflection of what I got to heal within, what I still got to love, that I could receive what was on the other side of that barrier, which was just my comfort zone of my beliefs, my programs, etc. Okay, so as I did that for myself, I gave myself permission to have a whole nother level of environment. It became regular for me to be seen and to be on TV, and I got to, practice my fullest expression and letting more of my gifts come out. I got to discover, guys, this was back when I was the Body Mind Mentor on TV. I evolved from there to being like the Fuck Yes Life Mentor and, like Rapid Ascension and, DNA activation and cellular memory clearing and being known as the $1 Million Coach. Now more as a spiritual mentor. So you see the evolution that continues and how if I didn't heal that for myself, I wouldn't have created the next level of environment for me to receive. So Brooke, you're asking, is it possible to lean in and rise and become whole and still be in a relationship with people? I can't see your whole comment, but it's most likely you're asking to be in a relationship with people that are maybe not reflecting that external in what you choose, right? And this is why, guys, everything around you will shift. It will shift, but know that it will always shift for the greatest good. So if I look at my relationship with my former, if you're not familiar with my languaging or followed my journey more, what most people would call their ex, I say former, because there's a positive energy and connection association. If would I have ever, I had an intense experience this week where I felt, and I remember this memory of being with my boys right after I got divorced. So I had a husband who cheated, and I became that $2 an hour waitress. Guys, I came from these places, and I remember having the Christmas, the holiday season, and seeing this thing with my boys. It just triggered me. I started bawling my eyes out, being like, oh my gosh, like, you know what, I noticed I felt sad that they didn't have a dad in the home, and had all these stories. Again, we've been fed by how life should be and what the collective should look like, or what our lives should look like, to be a success, to be accepted, to not be rejected. We're all striving to stay in this hidden place with this tribe that is operating out of normal, which is sacrifice and suffering. So if you continue to try to stay in what's normal, now this can be in relationship, Brooke. Like this can be in I'm trying to hold on to relationship because what are you really afraid of? Afraid that I might be alone, that I might not be rejected, that I want it to be this person, I want love. Know that if you focus on you being whole, and I skipped around there a bit, guys, but if you focus on being whole, everything shifts to give that frequency of wholeness and can only uprise to a greater good for everyone involved. So as I was saying, as I had this experience, this is the kind of conversations I was having with my boys when my son, Skylar, was 4 years old. And I'm bawling and I'm working through the 5 steps, which is the main tool that I teach people in going from unconscious to conscious. And in the moment, sharing with him, and he runs and grabs a comb and starts combing my hair and says, Mom, we love the 3 of us. And when you choose to have someone in your life, we'll love that too. And it's like we dropping this story of if I would have tried to hold on to a relationship, which now we live such completely different lives. I have a life of a completely different experience, and he has a life of a completely different experience. And that is the life that is perfect for him. So if I was striving so much to stay in the relationships that were only a reflection of my level of self-worth, my level of self-love, the environment that I had. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't completely up-level with your relationships, and that it'll naturally flow into calling in your divine allies and your sacred soul contracts and your sacred soul companions that want to live in the same environment as you do, in bliss and flow and joy and peace and love and abundance, because you're worthy of that. And you're doing the healing within that says, I am worthy of receiving this. And as you're that field of unconditional love and support and acceptance, all that can transmute is something greater for everyone involved. So that's the truth. So there's nothing to fear. There's nothing to fear about change. Notice if that comes up, it's like, oh, am I afraid to step into more of my greatness? Am I afraid to step into more of my light because I'm afraid I'm going to lose the relationships around me? Which these are all stories, which, as I said, when we evaluate them, just like I did with those 5 steps and the 5 steps that I teach, and going into that, me being on TV, it was like, oh, so what's really true? So for my little girl, it could be like, what's really true is the more we're seen, the more free we are, the more we are safe. Now we could move into that's our new belief and perception. Now we could move into the new pattern, right? The new action pattern that's going to allow us to have that as well. So this is why, guys, this is really not only me giving you the greatest gift that I could imagine, the greatest gift for you to recognize is how your environment affects your reality. It is the vortex that is creating your reality. And you can see all the ways that you can start taking radical responsibility now to start changing it. Moment by moment, the new patterns and behaviors that become the memorized neural pathways are that of like, fun and ease, and how could this be possible, and infinite possibilities, because as you up-level your consciousness, what happens is your nervous system is, when your nervous system is overstimulated and overwhelmed, that's really just a sign of your ego being, there's no life force energy within you. Your nervous system is like, again, all the things to do, and the fear and the lack and the scarcity and all the things you're bombarded by in this internal environment all day. So what happens is your illusion of reality can only see what matches, because your ego mind, which is a whole other thing on serving and supporting you, your ego knows how to filter out those things that don't match to your belief system. So all you see as your possibilities is what you're aware of based on your level of consciousness. Just take that in for a second. So do you see how when you're willing, when we drop the stories of judgment, blame, shame, guilt, anything that says any experience is wrong, because there is no such thing as bad or good or wrong or right. There is no even timeline. There's infinite timelines and infinite possibilities always available to you. Now, that means you get to up-level your consciousness, which means the more I heal everything that shows up in front of me, the more my nervous system relaxes. The more I become in peace and alignment to the core of my being, of who I really am. Aligning my feminine and masculine, which is the masculine is the doing, the taking action out of inspired action that feels good, and the feminine is the receiving in what feels good. And I dance in this kundalini energy of life that is the flow of give and receive and create with ease and receive with ease and play, because that is that is the truth of who I am. That is my natural state. Bliss and joy and pleasure and receiving and the sensuality and juiciness of life that I didn't even see before. Again, I couldn't see it because my belief system said no. I mean, I remember when I only saw the weeds on the side of the road. I wondered how people could see roses. That's where I came from. Now I only see the beauty in everyone and everything, because and I see infinite possibilities in the quantum field. All potentialities for me to align energetically with anything. Again, because I'm 99.99999 and on percent space, as well as you, as well as everything in the field. So if that is this energetic frequency, and if I know that I'm that, I know that I can connect to the potentiality of anything in the quantum field. But do you see how my consciousness had to evolve to allow myself to see infinite possibilities? And I had to go through those levels and those layers of going like, I'm trying to figure it out, because again, trying to control, which is a low level vibration and frequency, is what's controlling you. That was the level of operating that I knew. And as I learned to evolve through trusting the process of life and trusting myself and receiving everything in front of me, and not putting shame or blame or judgment on, but allowing it to lean in and go, ooh, like, why is this here? That's how I got to be the Body Mind Mentor on ABC4, versus going, I had an injury, I don't know what's going on, I can't do it, and life stopping you. So I kind of went on this spin-off based on even what I was saying. Someone in our tribe was just like, hey, I require some support, and I noticed I'm not writing my book. And as we looked into we give, feedback is like looking at what we're really afraid of, the belief systems inside, as well as the patterns and behaviors of your humanness. Like, what are the ways that would support me fully? So many people are either focused on human behaviors that they're missing all their multidimensional capability. And I do this because I see this chart of like, as there's all these people that go mystic and multidimensional, and we're accepting more and more the new language, the new frequencies of working with energy and our chakras. And we study this, and you boom, and you evolve in this level of consciousness, which, this is my reflection for this, open channel, right? And then there's the people who are studying systems, patterns, behaviors, all these things of our humanness, right? And with one or the other, we are not our full selves. We're not our whole capacity in being. But when you actually start to go, okay, how do I do the internal and the external? How do I look at my behaviors in life? As I was saying before in the beginning of this, looking at our environment, going, ooh, what behaviors am I addicted to that are creating suffering, that are addicted to a chemical reaction in my body? Oh, when I look in the mirror and I notice that this is my pattern, I get up in the morning or I go to bed at night and I look myself over and I'm creating this frequency and these thoughts and I'm chemically bonding myself to the past and I'm creating that as my future. Because that is the pattern, I can also go, ooh, so what's my new pattern? After I break that down and recognize why, consciously, that doesn't serve me anymore. And so changing my environment, that it is not a memorized pattern. So this is a call, guys. This is actually what I felt. I mean, this is like a time of year, yes, where so many people are focused on, because the time of the year, it's the give. But yet most people are living in a state of wearing a mask and not giving themselves full permission. Worried about what people are going to think, and their environment overwhelming them. And what as I shared a little bit earlier about my shift and change this year of working with leaders and focusing on my masterminds and giving time and effort and attention, my investment into others with my gifts and their investment in themselves to be able to receive a new level of experience was focused on a smaller amount of individuals. And as I felt this year go, you know what? We get to rise together in massive frequency to up-level our planet, because there's really two timelines that are the most prevalent right now. Okay, there's so many individuals, there's a whole collective holding the field of the world's going to end, global warming, pollution, you know, looking at the who's in the field of politics, who's in charge, leadership, etc. And there's this massive awareness around hatred and pain and suffering and all these things that I shared before that are the collective. That is what most people know. So all these individuals, the more people that are holding this field, are creating this timeline, which we could go down as a humanity, of destruction of Earth. And that's a possibility. That's a timeline that can exist. Now, I don't live in the normal world, right? I don't live in the collective. And this is why, as I said, it doesn't affect you when you actually rise above it. I forget that these things even exist because I don't watch TV. I don't really know what's going on in the world. I literally create my bubble, and the frequency I exude to the planet is I know it's shifting the consciousness of the planet by who I choose to be. So the more of us that, as I said, we become awake together, you become whole. You hold that frequency of wholeness in the field, that this is, I operate and where I can hold a field of unconditional love, support, and acceptance for you. No matter who you are, what you're doing, what you're choosing in life, what your belief systems are, what your religion is, whatever you choose, I see as a pure honoring of you and your given birthright to experience. No good, no bad. These things don't rule my world anymore because I let them go in my environment. And so by holding that field, the more of us that hold that field, the other timeline that is available is the new Earth. Is a field, as I said, when we rise together in love, we get rid of poverty, we get rid of scarcity, we get rid of sickness and disease, because sickness and disease is only a dysfunction created in your system from low vibrational frequency, from density. We came here as light beings, and we came to this lower dense planet to have these low density experiences. We're like, oh, what is going on? As we align to and remember, we're light. Your whole body is made of light. You are an activated light being. And so the more that you cleanse your cells and you clear the emotional imprinting and the energetic frequencies and these chemical bonds creating your biology every day and anchoring you into the past, and you shift your environment outside of you, what happens is your cells become light. The more light you emit, the more light you illuminate, the more you attract to you. And this is why it becomes really simple. Really simple, and to the frequency that you're giving out is creating everything that you receive. This is why I wanted you to hear the importance of your environment, because this environment, this is the vortex of your reality. Okay, and so if you guys know that you're seeking an environment of support, this is an invitation as well, because the greatest gift that I could have ever created, as I looked at like, okay, if my true intention is, again, I can create massive abundance, which I have, and I still continue to. And I know as I continue, because my connection again to abundance is freedom, is that I see like all the philanthropy projects, all the things that I do to create a different worldwide experience. That's something I myself can do. Yet again, the more we come together in wholeness, the more this shifts and changes for everyone. That we all live in prosperity and joy and pleasure, and it's just our way of experiencing each other. We would never think of hurting each other because you're me. Why would I ever project anything mean onto you or have a bad feeling towards you? Because now I'm just projecting that energy out onto myself and I'm receiving that back. Like when you consciously see it, it just doesn't make sense, right? It makes sense for us. Again, we get rid of the logic of the mind and we go into the results and the reality of what the vibration is and what's actually happening. And so as I got this call this year to affect more and more individuals, and I was like, what would be the greatest way that I can serve and support someone. If I was looking at my kids being unconscious, which we've gone the conscious journey together, my family, friends, if there was someone that important, and it's like I have such a deep connection to so many individuals, and it's like the old me was just like I wanted to give them everything. And yet we know that unless you're invested in yourself with an energy of, and this is why I want you to hear the big picture, guys, is that you get to be fully invested in yourself in this continual expansion. You heard through this live all the layers that I went to receive more, to expand more, to express more, to be more, to experience more. If I wasn't committed to a continual expansion in my growth and a continual evolution of aligning to my highest divine light, which meant I just get to operate in pure bliss and flow and joy and peace and prosperity and abundance and pleasure and these high vibrational frequencies, that is my norm. Letting go of the old normal that we're striving so hard to hold on to, which, guys, the old normal, again, is broken, sacrifice, settle, hardship, fear, rejection, worry, bleh, all of that, okay? So as I am committed to continually up-leveling my environment, and as I saw and looked at how most people will stop, again, I'll remind you, 98% stop after 2 to 3 tries, 99% quit or fail because of their environment. And it's all these things that I shared again that you can go back and go through if you're just joining us now. But noticing, if I was to create the greatest way for someone to have the tools to continually expand, what's required in that? Number one is we require that accountability. Just as I shared the girl who was like, hey guys, I'm really noticing I'm not working on my book. I'm stopping myself. All of a sudden there's accountability of everyone going, awesome, what are the new behaviors going to be? How can we support you? When you have accountability in your life, and guys, this is why creating the environment of the people around you that are aiming towards the same experience of life, meaning we all have our beautiful, unique, perfect individual experiences for ourselves, but we, like, as I called in my divine allies, they're only the most badass beings in the world of light that play in bliss and flow and peace and harmony and prosperity. I stopped calling in those relationships that are karmic and that are for triggers to learn and grow, because it's like I no longer have to operate from that space. I can actually call in the environment of the people that are supporting me and the people that want to live in that life too. So creating an environment of people around you that hold you accountable to and that are growing and working on the same things. Surround yourself with more individuals versus doing it alone, because doing it alone you will fail because you don't see what's beyond everything that you're bombarded with in your environment. So as I looked at what would be the greatest way that people are supported in this, not only is it accountability and it's community, which you guys get to look at if you have in your life supporting you, and it's looking at all the internal environments and everything else, like I said, the programming, the beliefs, etc. It's not just like this external behavior. It's not let me just go try to hang out with some cool friends, because guess what? You're not going to track those when you're a low vibrational frequency as well. So you get to do the inner game shifts to be able to create that. Yet when we look at also what else is there? There's the tools and the knowledge. There's the applying the tools and knowledge. Now there's a big difference between knowledge and wisdom. So many of us are just like, we're listening to books, we have a plethora of knowledge available to us, but we're not integrating it into our life experience, right? We're not creating a different life experience. And when we make peace our greatest priority, that is the frequency that we're aligning to. It's like, and so your everything that you're moving into is creating a frequency of peace. What if that became your greatest priority? What if you surrounded yourself with people who that was their greatest priority? Because again, when I align to peace, if I say my greatest, and which it's part of my spiritual practices every day, that peace is, I'm absolute peace. I'm the frequency of divine unconditional love. Do you think I'm going to put up with any shit in my environment? No, because my frequency and my reality is peace. So as I ask these questions, I'll stay on track here. As I ask these questions, I was like, what would support people the most? What are the things they actually require? Everything came down to the environment is the greatest thing that they get to have surrounding them, immersing themselves in this new environment, from the people they're around to the information they're taking in and integrating into their life that's shifting the feelings in their system, the thoughts they're having, the new patterns and the new behaviors. So guys, I went from a place where, and as I said before, if you're not willing to say, hey guys, this is what I have and this is what I'm willing to serve with, you're not healing for yourself or anyone else. So this is straight up, like, for me, this is my offer of what I'm inviting you into. This is why I created the Best Life Tribe, which I want to talk to you about, and the whole environment we created and why I created this environment. Because as I recognized that if most people are failing because of their environment, how do we create getting the coaching, the tools, integrating and implementing these things, as well as the accountability, the community. When you would stop yourself, you've got people there to keep you from stopping yourself, from going from sabotage. You have the knowledge and the things to continue to move through. So we've got peeps in here that are in the community, Terry, Katarina, like all, you know, in the tribe, knowing, okay, so this is what I created, guys. And this is why at this time of the year with everyone give, this is what I decided I wanted to share publicly and give. Because I usually am not, I mean, I'm not going to say that because I do be like, hey guys, this is what I have and what's coming through right now and what I feel called to share, but this hasn't been really something that I've shared that much. And I really feel called to share because my intention now is put my effort, time, and energy towards this tribe. Because my schedule is completely open free for me to have the greatest next evolution of my freedom, that there's nothing on my schedule. So as I travel the world and I do, you know, all the things from DNA activation, cellular, you know, clearings, I spend time with enlightened masters in the Himalayas and all over India, and all these things I do every single time. For me, I want to be able to where I would have been teaching these things to my personal clients or my masterminds, this is where I'm giving it, is in my tribe. So if you see, like, a lot of times I've had, like, I'm going live in the tribe, I'm teaching constantly the things that want to channel through me. This week alone, I have 2 meditations that downloaded through me that I channeled that I'm going to be popping into the tribe. I'm feeling called to dive in with them on some of my greatest tricks of, you know, a visioning process with coming up to the new year and how they get to magnify their frequency and create an actual frequency wave. I'm doing that in the tribe this next week and the next couple days as that's coming through. I'm going to do this whole, like I said, visioning process with everyone. These things just want to come through. And as you can tell, me being an open channel, I require an outlet to go, cool guys. And this is how I feel like I'm teaching and sharing with the masses, that more of us have the opportunity. So there's not just that happening in my tribe. That's all bonus. That's all just, you know, what I decided was serving the world at a greater degree than where we had just like, if you wanted to start in one of my programs. So it used to be thousands of dollars for every single one of my programs, because I know my worth and my value and what these things shift. And I believe you get to have that investment in yourself. It's a law of parallel returns until you're willing to invest your time, effort, energy, and even the investment in the money, the abundance into yourself is the only way you're going to receive it back. It's the only way. And that's why I want to give you a bigger picture of the whole environment shift that you get to create for yourself. That it's not just like, okay, well, I'll read this book. Well, how'd that work for you? Because we're not integrating and implementing, as well as having the community, having the accountability, having all the environment shifts and changes that allow you to get to a greater and greater and greater result. So in the past, if people were to get into my programs, it was very much like you could start off with my Lock Lost formula, which is the greatest foundational program. And then you'd move into my Align to Greatness. Then you'd move into my, Mastery to Manifest. All of these growing in greater levels of consciousness, from money mindset to conscious languaging to epic relationships to looking at your unconscious commitments, all of these things. And I felt like it's doing more of a disservice and not helping the world to my new calling and what I see of holding this newer frequency and more of us becoming whole, by just being like, someone can they get so many people buy a product or a program, and because you don't have the environment of support and you're not committed with accountability and looking at the things that are stopping you, and you don't even recognize how you're unconsciously stopping yourself, as I gave a lot of feedback around before, what happens is you just buy into those stories, validations, and excuses, and you don't move forward. So this product or program or book you listen to, etc., doesn't make that big of a difference. And that's where I said something's got to change for the way that we assist each other in rising in love and rising in our ascension. And something's got to change in the way that we share the tools and the knowledge, and we learn to integrate them. So what I created in my Best Life Tribe is that everyone in my tribe gets access to every single one of my programs, basically all the content that I've ever created. So in the tribe, and this is why, guys, if this calls to you, we're like, hey, where do I get to go for a space where I'm only supported in accountability and community, everyone calling me on my bullshit, myself calling myself on my bullshit, but I'm learning step by step the tools to integrate a higher level of consciousness, a higher level of receiving love, and creating the reality that you really want to be experiencing. So in the tribe, you literally get dripped a coaching, I think it's every other week. So you literally can move through each step of, now I'm going to practice, I'm going to integrate it. I'm being accountable and saying, hey guys, this is the coaching I'm working on. This is what I'm practicing this week. If there's ever any questions, something that I feel like I love to go deep with people. This is why I love when it really feels like it's something I want to do. I do my deep dive transformational retreats with medicine work and DNA activation, etc. And I've always loved going so deep with people. So something else we created and we do in the tribe is called open mic. So we just did this, actually, I've always done breakdown to breakthrough sessions with people, and we just decided to make it an open mic where it's like Q&A. And from the last one we did lasted over 4 hours of me just getting on live with people and doing their Q&A of where they were feeling stuck or where they were, having a block. And we were diving deep into their internal perceptions and their programming and their identity and their beliefs. And guys, the results from that call alone, some of you guys that were on that call can chime in here, but it was like the results alone of everyone saying like, literally the next day, everyone was like, my whole world is different. Not only all the energy that we released, the cells that we cleared, the activations that we did, all through clearing this imprinting. And now every single one knowing what they were going to practice and what they were going to up level in. And the broad spectrum of the different things that we went into for each person. This is why I always love doing my masterminds. It was just like, pshaw, for everyone. Like, seeing what happens for one person, they get to apply that to their life. So that's something I just do in the tribe because it's my space to go deep with people. So if you're in my programs and you're going into the integration of you're learning these tools and applying, this is why I'll just jump in and share new downloads, my new experiences, what's happening. So that means there's a library of all these extra trainings available that are only available in my tribe. Of all these experiences I've had. So if you're like, hey, I'm really, desiring to work on my communication or my relationships, there's trainings I've done on that. There's a plethora of content because I am kind of a content machine because I'm an open channel that's here to just continue to share the elevation of our humanity. In fact, in my gene keys, being a 6 and as well a future human, I am here to carry these codes of liberation. Being the future human behaviors that shares with people how to operate in a highly evolved consciousness and the behaviors of a future human that we create that new earth. That's what we get to create. Okay, and I know I've got some amazing peeps on here that you're in the tribe, and so you know that what we're calling for, and at this time of year, like I said, this is the greatest gift I could give, was I was like, if I can give people access to all the content to continue to, right on, Katarina, you're a 6'2", I'm a 6'3". See, we know what this is. We're like, we know ourselves. We know our DNA maps. We know what we're working through. We know how we're evolving our shadows to our greatest gifts. So in this evolution together, right, she gets it, other people are like, what are you talking about? What's a DNA map? What's a 6'2", what's a 6'3"? These are all the things that we get to share in the tribe of going deeper. But, this is the space where I get to go deeper because I know the peeps are in the program and they're learning the tools and they're integrating it, and we share this community and this accountability and this environment where you're continually progressing. We see the greater evolution. And not to mention having say that, for instance, you start working through my programs and all these evolutions of consciousness and these tools to apply. These are the same things that my $1 million clients got to work with me on. And yet this is where I'm putting my focus now, that I jump in there. It's the only place where there's access to me, where I jump in and I answer questions. We do the live open mics. We do breakdown to breakthrough. Like I said, I'm going to be doing a visioning process with my peeps just because that's what's coming through. But you have all the other trainings and things that I've ever done and created. So this is a space where you get access to all my content that was never accessible before. And I shifted and changed this so that we could truly, together, we could decide to give ourselves permission. And it gets to be easy, guys. That's the thing. It gets to be easy. We make it so hard by trying to do this on our own. I was one of those people because I was afraid of rejection. What's really true, what's really happening beneath the person who's trying to strive to do it alone is we're afraid of being seen. We're afraid of being heard. We're afraid of being rejected. We don't want to put our shit out there. You don't want people to know that. Well, this is why we get to realize there's no judgment around that. There's no shame. There's no blame. Everything is just a perfect experience. Everything is just your energy. Everything is just what is. And this is a safe place where you can say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. And I know that if I didn't, I shared this in the tribe, I guess, with the open mic the other day, is where I said, my first thoughts around even sharing that I had a cheating husband when I got divorced, was the first thoughts were like, oh, if I say I had a cheating husband, the thought's going to be for people that I wasn't good at sex. Like, these are the crazy thoughts that actually run our life. And see, I remember being so afraid to share my shit. And now it's like, my gifts are in my shit. And if I'm not willing to accept everything that's happened to me, I haven't healed it and loved it. So I have no judgment or story around anything I ever experienced because it was the things that I actually called in and the sacred contracts I had to learn what I learned to be here today sharing with you. So that you can also see the freedom in being fully you, fully expressed in who you are, fully seen, fully able to receive is all a reflection of the environment you're experiencing. So guys, if you have questions on this, please just message me. We've got a couple extra bonus trainings and coachings that come with this as you feel into this. This is just a low monthly membership. That's what we created, so it supports everyone. It's a low monthly membership, which means, again, I'm asking for more of your investment in yourself with the time, effort, and energy you put in to immerse yourself in a new environment, to be able to go through the coachings and the audios and learning the concepts and the tools to then integrate and apply them in your life, and have this safe space where you're held accountable to work through your shit and not be stopped by your shit. And so being able to give yourself permission to move through the things that you've been experiencing and get to the destination, because your environment will create your destination. So how much more can you immerse yourself in this? And so if you guys are interested in this, please just message me. I'm just going to do it that way. Message me and I'll give you the links where you get a couple bonus coachings and you can feel into it and see what it looks like. But it's just a low monthly membership where you get access to all my content, all my extra trainings, me and the tribe, my whole team of coaches and the whole community and accountability and like everything that I've shared. And actually there's so many bonuses in there, guys, I don't even mention. There's so many bonuses of all my meditations. There's all my even workout videos from when I was the Body Mind Mentor, my nutrition coaching, like everything I've ever created, you have access to in the tribe. So this was my gift that I wanted to give. Not only, guys, whether this calls to you or not, because again, I am unattached. I have no expectations. I know the universe effortlessly supports me and brings me those people that are seeking the freedom, because I'm here to be a liberator. I'm here to give the freedom codes. And so those people that are truly seeking that freedom, they're effortlessly going to show up in my space, and they're going to be drawn to these things that I created to serve and support them. So I have no attachment or expectation. If from this you got simply to look internal at your environment, look at your external environment, look at what's happening in your body and the frequency in your cells, take radical responsibility to take the knowledge that I've shared with you today and apply it and integrate it into your life, because just listening and hearing this as knowledge is not going to do shit for you. It means you actually create the change and integrate something differently in your life. If it does call to you, if you're like, literally, like I said, this is the greatest thing I could come up with to ever help anyone I ever cared about, give them the access to everything I have, me, the tribe, the community, the accountability, everything I saw was why people stopped themselves, is here in support. And this time of year being that you, with all that you're doing for everyone else and all that you do constantly, that you actually give yourself permission and you give yourself this gift. So if this calls to you to be able to join the tribe and join us on this journey, again, in the next week, I'm going to be doing a deep visioning process with my peeps, giving you a couple new meditations, and you have access to all of it. So if this interests you, please message me. If it's not something that you're, drawn to, and it's like there's something else in your life, in your space, all I want to give you support around is look at the next inch you get to take in your life. Because most of the time we're stopping ourselves because we're not willing to look at what's the next inch. What else is possible? How could this be fun and easy? It might be a breakdown of looking at, as I was that single mom, $2 an hour waitress with $10 in my name, the first level of investment in coaching that I did for myself was a $15,000 coach. Now, believe me, everything, awesome Lindsay, I love you, girl. She's been to a couple of my events. Of course you get to be in the tribe. But as I saw that right away, I got to go like, oh, how could I create this? What is possible? I had to walk through the things that would have said, there's no way you could have this. And yet I knew, highly invested in myself, as I found a way, which was like, cool, what's the payment plan? How does that work? How does that look? What can I create? What can I do? I took the next steps. Now, do you think I was highly invested in the time, effort, and energy of whatever I learned and applying it? And that's really the most, this is the greatest investment I'm asking for you, is to give yourself permission, the time, effort, and energy, because the cost is so freaking low. Again, my programs have always been thousands of dollars for each one, and we're saying a low monthly fee, a low monthly investment in yourself is a better way to put it, because it truly is that you saying, I'm putting the investment in myself, and I'm going to put my time, effort, and energy into learning and going through these coachings and these trainings and showing up on open mic and, posting and sharing and declaring what I'm working on and asking questions when I require support and dropping my shit around the things that are stopping me and allowing myself to receive, to be able to move forward and receive what you want in life. That's what this is for, guys. And so whatever part of this has supported you, or whatever you take from this, look at how you get to give yourself permission, give yourself the gift of creating the life that you absolutely love. Because I want to remind you that it is your natural state of being. You are here for bliss and joy and prosperity and peace and harmony. And if that seems too cray-cray right now and too out there, then we're going to break it down into the next inch and the next step that you get to take to go, all right, what else would be possible? And how can I align? Just like I align to these different levels of freedom and abundance and worthiness, it was a moment as I aligned to the next level of consciousness, But I want you to hear, when you're supported and you have the tools, guys, for 20 plus years, I've dove deep into geeking out on frequency and beliefs and programming and DNA and all these things. I had to go this journey. And I always invest in myself. I always had coaches. I've always been invested in my highest, greatest experience and my evolution. And it's so much faster. And this is why I love seeing how when we stop doing it the way that that's not working and staying on the cray-cray of normal and applying it in ways that we're kind of in the hamster wheel, right? When you actually go right to the root and you get the exact guidance of how to do this is why the peeps in my tribe know the 5 steps. They always apply the 5 steps, and we walk right through what's unconscious to conscious and moving right through it. And it becomes like we stop having suffering when we actually ease into knowing, this is just what I'm feeling and experiencing, and this is how I get to move through it. So see how much faster we evolve. We're approaching the root cause. We're aligning to the tools and the principles, the integration, the consciousness, the programs, the behaviors. All of that is being applied. That's why we can change our experience so quickly. You can change your experience so quickly. And again, as I've shared in here, it's as easy or as hard as you want to make it, based on what you're willing to give yourself permission to lean into and to receive. So for those of you that feel called to that, yep, Luz, I love you in the tribe. It's such an amazing gift to have you there as well. So we've got the most amazing peeps there. I'm there. If this calls to you guys, please just message me and I'll give you the links to be able to join us in there and be able to be supportive moving forward. And no matter what, take a radical responsibility look at your environment and what you get to choose to give yourself permission to receive. I love you guys. Powerful choice is yours. Choose your best life. Mwah.